All right, what is a denial of service? It can include the consumption of resources, the destruction or alteration of configuration information, the destruction or alteration of network components, and we can classify them several different ways. There's certainly many an accidental denial of service that have happened. Oftentimes you can start a program running and it'll just go into a memory loop, or it will just endlessly execute. You could call that a accidental denial of service. There are plenty of misconfigurations that can cause a state of denial of service. But then again, there are the attacks, the actual intentional denial of service attacks, and that's probably what we're going to talk most about today. The effect on resources are things like starvation for resources, or overloading something that with too much information or too many of something, and then affecting that resource's availability, making it unavailable to other things that would use that resource. There's also different types of resource versus when we talk about local versus network-based. A network-based attack is usually something that involves hogging of network-related resources like bandwidth or buffers for network packets, and local usually deals with actual CPU horsepower or physical memory itself. They're very similar. In fact, both network-based and local can affect the same resources on a system, but we'll talk about what they are today. Okay, primary type of DOS attack is a resource overload. A resource overload DOS happens when too many legitimate connections overwhelm the server. These are connections that could be SYNs or ICMP packets, but either way they fill up and consume too much of the resources of the computer. For example, if a company announces it has hot new product on its website, a rush of users may come and overwhelm the site. We often refer to this as /dotted because oftentimes /dot will come out and release something, and everyone and their mother will go and visit the site. And of course, since everyone is there visiting the site and reading the web page, it will quickly overwhelm the server and no one else can get access. This is both legitimate and DOS-based when we talk about resource overloads, and they happen daily on the internet, whether it's a /dotted type website or someone using a tool. Most denial of service attacks rely on IP spoofing in one way or another. They're either sending requests to a target computer and spoofing the source to some dead computer, or spoofing or sending packets to some amplifying computers that are just going to replay it to the target, and the target is usually the spoof computer. In other words, they may send a packet to a computer with the source address as the actual intended target of the DOS, and the responses from that computer will go back to the target and perhaps overwhelm it. So oftentimes denial of services do employ some kind of spoofing, IP spoofing technique, and we'll see that here.